Thank you. Hang on. Zeke, can you go ahead and put the first slide up? Okay. Well, good morning, y'all. We're excited to have the opportunity to speak and tell you the vision that the Lord's laid on our hearts. And it's been a journey to get here. It's been a very, very gradual revelation that the Lord's done as to what he wants us to do. But we have heard from the Lord very recently now, and he said, after waiting a good while, it's time. It's time. And so we're very excited to have formed Goldfinch Ministries, and we see that from the Lord as a multifaceted kind of a thing. But our first venture would be Freedom House, which would be a longer-term residential setting, a refuge, if you will, for women and children escaping domestic violence. And it's just been very, very interesting process. You know, the Lord doesn't always give you the full picture right away. Deanna's going to speak about her history. This goes back a lot further with her than it does with me. But in case some of you all are new and don't know, she had a brain tumor. And we met 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago. And I was her therapist. And she had profound weakness. She had braces on her legs. She had to walk with a walker. She couldn't hold her cell phone. She's so weak she can't even hold a cell phone. And that's why they brought me in. And God did a full-on, undeniable, medically documented, absolute miracle healing of her like a couple of months after we met. And so, you know, right there in front of me as I'm praying for her, he heals her of this brain tumor. And she goes in the bathroom and takes off her braces and sets the walker aside and is playing soccer with the kids the next day. So we knew, we're like, okay, so, something kind of special going on here. And then the Lord began to do all these other wonderful things. And so about 10 months into it, she has a vision. And he tells her that we are paired as a ministry team. He is pairing us together. And that together we're going to battle side by side. We're going to conquer giants. We're going to pull down strongholds. And we're going to see miracles happen. Well, he'd already done one, so that wasn't such a stretch. So we knew that much. And then we had this incredible urgency. We've got to get here to Tennessee. So we're thinking, okay, we're going to hit the ground running. When in fact, the Lord was like, hang on. You think you're ready. You're not quite ready yet. I have some work to do with you. And so he began working in both of us this healing journey and this revelation of increasing truth upon truth upon truth. And so it's just been this incredible process. And he began to give us dreams. And so we would have dreams where we're in these, it's a lot of times it was like an old Victorian house or an old farmhouse. And there's lots of other people in the house. And there's, all kinds of spiritual warfare that's happening and like literal physical war going on outside. And it's just been a great progressive revelation of this whole process. But we're so excited about this. But just imagine if you've lived your whole life in a situation where you're literally physically beaten, emotionally beaten, financially abused, just put down in every way, how can you then make the jump to, well, I'm just going to leave and go, raise my family and live in the community and take care of all of this stuff all by myself? What? How in the world do you do that? So we really envision from the Lord this beautiful home-like setting where folks can stay for a longer term and be able to be counseled regularly and discipled regularly and have time to heal, just like He's taken us through this process of healing. They need time to do that, and then coordinating with community to help them integrate into the community and build those relationships and become established. You just can't do that in a few weeks. And so we're really excited about what the Lord wants to do here. We would be living on site. We would be the staff initially, and we really see this thing growing and becoming, we see it branching out into other areas as well. There's lots of room for expansion, but it's pretty exciting. But I think one of the things as we've looked into this is how staggering the numbers are. And we know that we just have the stuff that gets reported. We know there's way more than this, but I think Sis is going to talk now about some of the statistics just to give you some idea of the scope of how big this problem is.
So Zeke, if you want to go ahead and put that next slide up. I was astounded when I started doing the research and seeing the statistics that are out there. These are just a few. Aaron mentioned we've got some statistic sheets back here on the back table for different areas. And again, you probably want to be careful about children looking at those. Those are pretty much for adult only, or teenagers can see that. But 1 in every 4 women experience domestic violence in the nation. 1 in 4. So you look at 4 women here and 1 out of every 4. Think about that. So you're in the grocery store. 1 out of every 4 women that you see has potentially experienced domestic violence, and that's what's reported. Just what is reported. 1 in 15 children are exposed to domestic violence, and 90% of them actually watch it and see it. Can you imagine what that does to children and why we see the violence perpetuated in society? Because of what these children have grown up seeing. Okay, this is the one that really got me. Okay, so that's the national statistics. Here in Tennessee, 39.6% of women experience domestic violence. That's more than a third, guys, of women right here in Tennessee experience some form of domestic violence. And that's what's reported. Okay, these are numbers that are reported. Tennessee law enforcement responded to 69,385 reports of domestic violence in 2020. That, to me, is a staggering number. And something else that we just recently started looking into, women with disabilities experience domestic violence at twice the rate of the rest of the population. So DiDi touched on, we see expansion and other homes in the future. Just this week felt like the Lord dropped in our hearts that the next home after this first one will be for women with disabilities. Obviously, we both have dealt with that and have a heart for that, because yeah, some of the things, there's a whole sheet on that back there, just people with disabilities and what they go through. So I wanted to share a little bit about my history and kind of where this vision started with me. So I won't go into a lot of detail as far as my history as a child, but I went through abuse as a child. And because of that, I suffered severe depression and tried to take my own life multiple times. And God met me after the last time I tried, and he said, "You've tried to change yourself, and look where it's gotten you. Now, let me change you." It's the first time I can ever remember hearing the voice of the Lord. And so I actually went into a program very similar to what we're talking about, very similar to Blue Monarch. I went through the program, I graduated the program, and then after that, I have worked at multiple programs like that. So I'm very familiar with how these programs run, how they're laid out, how they're set up. Ours is going to be a little bit different, but still I have a really good foundation for that. I worked 4 years in the ministry after graduating the ministry. And just a heart to see these women and these children restored. I actually, after I stopped working there, I had worked for an adoption agency, and we had a ranch up in Montana that I worked at for a while that took children from disrupted adoptions. These were children whose behaviors were so bad they could not remain in the home. And so I've also done a lot of work with troubled children. I did foster care for almost 20 years. I've adopted 4 children. So I understand working with children and women who have been through abuse and these things. So that's kind of the foundation there as far as, you know, having some experience going into this. But I know I've shared with you guys the vision that the Lord gave me for Isaac, and I waited for Isaac for almost 20 years before he came. In that same time frame, I was working at one of the women's homes that I'm talking about. And the Lord gave me a vision, the Lord gave me a dream during that time. And in this dream, he showed me that I would be starting homes to help women and children. And so kind of like the whole deal with Isaac, you know, it's like, okay, when is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? And just literally, guys, a couple of weeks after having this dream, I didn't share the dream with anybody. I had someone come up to me at church and say, "I have a word for you. The Lord told me that you are going to start homes for women and children." So it was a confirmation. But, you know, here we are 30 plus years after that and waiting on the Lord, and I'd kind of just set it aside. I'm like, well, maybe I missed it, you know, maybe this wasn't what the Lord had at that time. And but he just in the last 2 or 3 years began giving me dreams again, and multiple dreams. There's one in particular we'll share with you here in a minute about where the name of the ministry came from. But one that the Lord brought back to my mind this morning, I'm sitting there praying about what we're sharing and just what we're about to do. And it's like, Lord, I can't make this happen. And as soon as I said that, he brought to mind a dream that I had a couple of years ago. And I dreamed that we walked into this house. We were looking at this house to purchase it, and it was a large house. When we walk in, there's a staircase right there, and to the side of the staircase, there was a bookcase. And the lady who was showing us the house took our picture off the bookcase and said, "Look, we've been saving this for you." And so we go on and we look at the house. We go out onto the carport. You know why I'm saying that. Okay, we go out to the carport, and DiDi's sitting there with her checkbook, and she's like, "I've only got $700. I can't make this happen." And so, yeah, we're in a place where we can't make this happen, but God can, because it's his plan and what he has for us. So that's just a brief synopsis of kind of the background of where this vision came from, and we'll share the main dream here in a minute.
So I just want to tie in just for a second with what Pat was saying. When I know sometimes, I do the exact same thing. Lord, please just get me out of this trial. Take this away. But until you walk through the fire with him, it just takes your understanding of who he is and how good he is to an entirely different level. It is necessary. It is for your good to go through the fire. One of the things that the Lord has done over the last couple of years in preparation was literally revealing some of my true history to me so that I could walk in truth and not be walking in a delusion of what I thought the truth was. And yeah, it was some pretty heavy stuff. Things I did not remember. I had completely blocked. But he has just confirmed over and over and over again. There were many things he had to show me quite a few times before it would really register, okay, that really happened. Really happened. But in that, he showed me how faithful he is. It's hard to put into words, but there was one of the songs that we did today where it's talking about your singing over me, and there was one of these times where he had revealed this really drastic thing that fundamentally changed my perception about my life. And you know, I'm in the floor. I'm wailing. I'm a mess. And she said, "Sis, I can hear it. The angels are singing over you." So he will come in and sing over you.
I could
really
literally,
does that.
physically hear it, guys. It wasn't just in the spirit. I heard it with my ears, the angels singing over her.
And he has done just this incredible healing work. You know, I believe last week Brian quoted the Luke, I think it's 4:18-19. The Spirit of Jesus saying this in the synagogue. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor, to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives. I mean, that's such a picture of what this is going to do. He is still very much in that business, and he is going to do that through this venture. And we are so excited about that. And I can see, and the Lord literally told me, your life was not wasted. Because I began to have this overwhelming feeling that nothing was true in my life. Nothing was real. Nobody was who they said they were. And he said, no, your life was not wasted. I have used it to temper you, to make you stronger. And if I had not had those experiences, I could not step into this role now. So, yeah, I think it's very, very exciting to go into this and really feel like, yeah, this is why I'm here. It's for this. It's for such a time as this. And in that vision that she had, the Lord said, "Warn my people, my day is coming." His day is coming. I think that's another thing that Pat said. You know, he was asking, gosh, look at all this stuff that's going on. Is this the end? I kind of think so. We're close anyway. But the devil has his plans, and the Lord has his plans. And his plans are going to prevail. I'm so excited about that.
So now the dream for where the name for the ministry came from. I had this dream. It was probably 2.5 years ago. I dreamed that I was standing out in front of my house and I could see the mountains out in front of me, and it looked like these mountains right here. And there were bombs going off on top of the mountains, and whether that signifies violence, as in domestic violence and what we're talking about, or actual war, I don't know. Could be both. I don't know. But I see this, and I see these going off, and I turn around and I go back in the house and I walk into my kitchen and look out the window, and there's a tree kind of off to the right just a little bit, and it appears to be either springtime or summertime because the tree is green and full of leaves, but the wind is blowing really, really hard, and there are thousands of little goldfinches that are just panicked. They're just flapping and panicked and in a tizzy, for lack of a better word. But as soon as they get into the tree, even though the wind is blowing all around them, they settle and they become calm and they become peaceful. And it's like the Lord was showing me that He is going to be bringing to us these people, these hurting ones that are in a panic, that need help, that need security, that need calming, that need peace. And so that is where the name Goldfinch Ministries came from. Now, probably that week after I had the dream, everywhere we went for that week, just 1 week, we saw goldfinches. Whether it was on a calendar or a picture or actual goldfinches. I mean, it was like we saw goldfinches everywhere, and it was like the Lord was saying, confirming that dream was from Him. And then it was probably a good year later. I'm at Food City. I'm going to pull out the side parking lot there on Half Moon, and it's got the bushes that are there. And a single goldfinch flew right in front of my car and landed in that bush. And the Lord instantly spoke to me and said, "Don't forget the goldfinches." So then about 6-7 months ago, I was having my prayer time in the morning, my devotion time, and the Lord said, "The goldfinches are coming." And then just a couple of months ago, the Lord spoke and said, "It's time." And since He spoke that, it is like goldfinches everywhere we go. I see goldfinches all the time. We went and met with the ladies at Blue Monarch, and as I'm standing there talking to Shakia, goldfinch flies by. Everything, it was like one thing after another, meeting with them, confirmation after confirmation, and the things that the Lord has shown us in this and confirming, what He wants us to do. And I went out to Tim's Ford. I had a photo shoot out there last weekend, and I walk up to the nature center. There's Goldfinch. It's like they're just all of a sudden they're everywhere. And so one thing that I think we failed to mention is we're both in the process and about to start school to get our certification in Christian counseling. So we will have that certification just to go along with our history and our own experiences. But you want to go ahead and share kind of where we're at now and what we're doing?
So at this point, we're good and solid that this is what the Lord wants us to do. And very recently, he also said, it's time. Start looking for property and start talking. So we have looked at some properties. There is a property that is available right now that we feel like is a really, really good fit, that it has, it would just need a little tiny bit of modification, just not anything terribly significant, but it's pretty much turnkey and ready to go. There is room for expansion there. There is some land, so there could be additional buildings and such added to the property. So at this point, we keep checking, we keep looking, and that's the only thing that's available. And we've asked the Lord, and we feel like that is the place. And so, again, in keeping with that dream of we've been saving it for you, and only have this in my checking account, I can't make this happen. It will be the Lord's doing. And so we are believing him that he is going to provide that property. Mm-hmm. And whatever other resources are necessary, which there's going to be some need there, to get things started. We'll need a vehicle to be able to transport everyone. But we would be able to, for sure, take two families, two sizable families, into this home and be able to work with them. And I know one of the things that they advised us at Blue Monarch, and it certainly rang true with us, is to start small. Start small and do small well. Do that very well. Get your feet under you, get your programs, get your processes. And so yes, we would start small, but we don't anticipate staying small. Yeah. There is obviously so much need. We really feel like the Lord is gonna bless that, and we'll. I don't think it's going to be a problem trying to get people to come. It's going to be a problem knowing who to take and who not. So, but yeah, very exciting. And we also, it's not just about us. We want to bring in other folks. We want to partner with other folks to, come in and, hey, let's learn how to break bread one day. Let's learn how to do some, budgeting. Let's learn some, work ethics, work skills. We want to partner with the community, with business in the community, to try to foster some opportunities for these folks. So there's a lot of moving parts, and we're still working through all of that and how that's going to work. But that's where we are right now, and so we just we're excited to be able to present this to you, and we certainly envision, there are y'all are some amazing people, and you have some amazing skills, and we will certainly You know, if anyone is willing, we would love to talk about, partnering and expanding those things for the families that come through.
Just if you'll go ahead and go to the last slide. I forgot to have you put the third one up, but it was just a picture of the goldfinches in the tree. But go to the last slide there. This is our scripture that the Lord gave us for this, and it's because you have been my help. In the shadow of your wings, I will sing for joy. And just that as the Lord helps and heals, that their joy will be restored. So we do have, I don't know if everyone got a brochure. We need to do just one per family. That's all I have enough for, but I have these. And again, remind you the statistic sheets are back there. And we do have a website, so you can go to the website. We have a Facebook page that we'll try to keep everybody kind of updated on where we are. We have filed our charter. We're working with an attorney to get our bylaws done and be filing for 501c3. So,
You know, I kind of think I kind of left this part out, but we want to see these families come through and be in a really good space as far as their healing process. We want to do intensive discipleship so that they begin to recognize that's not who I am. I am who the Lord says that I am. And that they grab hold of that identity and they begin to walk in that identity. We really want to see, wonderful parenting skills coming forward. We want to work on educating them in those areas, so that these folks come out the other side and they are truly walking in the identity that the Lord has for them, and that they're well on their way in that healing process. Healing can take a while, can take a long time, but we want to really give them a good intensive start and get them to a place, where they're healed enough that they can then go out in the community and function and have a good family situation, good family dynamics going on, and that cycle of violence is completely cut off, and that does not perpetuate in any way. Good stuff.
So it just really appreciate you guys praying for us and with us as the Lord begins to move us forward in this. And so thank you guys so much.
Appreciate y'all.